Good morning, Service Alliance community. How y'all doing today? Brother Doug.
Good morning, Zach. You well rested, my friend?
Yeah, we fell back. So I'm doing good.
Yeah. It's it was a weekend of nothing, so it feels very weird. Felt like nothing took forever, but it was good to just have nothing on the plate,
I wish it was a weekend of nothing. I had a build on Saturday with the guys. Went from one sales rep to another sales rep to me and fought the insurance along the way. Finally got it built over the weekend. Customer was really happy, but it was one of those good jobs. It was like just easy, and
Yep.
you get the crew kind of rocking and rolling. And me and the crew boss and another guy went on a repair. I went to learn.
Mm.
It was his repair. I went to learn kind of like how to do it. So it's always fun to get to spend time with the team and kind of see different ways to do things. And crew did a great job. We come back, they're cleaning up, and it's like it's a good day. It's a good
That reminds me of when I was a technician and had this great week where I used all my compressor relays, GE motherboards, lid switches on direct drives. I'm like, I'm gonna make $1 million a year. This job is cake. And then, 2 weeks later, the curveballs on a rusty screw will hold you back, and you're like, oh, that's real life.
Yeah, we
But
won't talk
you
about
have
the rest of the week that I
that's right. That's right. You have to embrace. You have to embrace and be grateful for the moment, right?
Yep, 100%,
Yep.
100%.
Yep.
Well, so the mastermind coming up is goals. I love goals. I talk about them all the time, mostly because I need the constant reminder to set them. I will set them and then I will forget them.
Mm.
I will go for a really, I'm not the set a New Year's resolution guy,
Mm.
but I'm also not like that great visionary that continues punting the football, like,
Mm.
okay, cool, we beat this one, let's go to this next one. I can do it great for about like 6 or 8 months, and then I just fall off the rails. So I like to remind everyone else because I feel like I'm not alone in that.
I feel like I have goals and then I have wish list goals.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
balanced in exercise and movement, balanced in diet or whatever. I want it so bad. What's different about maybe my professional life and professional goals is that if I identify them, then I put something in my short-term vision, the task, the goal,
Yeah.
the smaller goal to get the bigger goal. And so I'm not sure what it means. I have to meet with my therapist and find out why I choose not to put those to-do items or small goals in that journey of getting to the big place, because you don't just overnight become great at anything. You just don't. It's always hard work, and it's always putting little tiny steps in place. So certain areas of my life, I do that very well, and others I don't. But you
We're
can't just wish it. You have to strategically plan it, right?
and we're going to talk about some of that today because the reality for both of us is some of it may not align with our vision statement for ourselves, our personal
Mm.
vision statement, and our business vision statement. Some of you in the audience may not even have a vision statement. You're like, what the heck are these two guys talking about? And so it makes it hard. Like those little goals, we don't do them. Probably, I would venture to guess, Doug, they don't actually serve the greater vision, which means they get kind of cast aside. It might mean that goal that we set isn't a goal that serves us. It isn't a goal that aligns with who we are. And
Sure.
maybe we need to kind of reassess that. So that's what we're talking about today, like how to take and create a vision statement, what to do if you get stuck creating that, and then how to kind of channel that into creating goals for yourself as well as for your business.
Yeah.
So should be a good one. We'll see.
Love it. Well, let me start us off with some prayer. Morning, Andrew and James.
Yeah, let's do it.
Lord God, we thank you so much for this day. We thank you for all the gifts and riches that you have for us. Lord, we ask for your help in focusing on those things that you have, before we were born, promised to each one of us. Lord, help us be great servants and children of God. And we lift up Andrew and James to you this morning and all those who listen. But we lift up those two people to you, and we ask that you sense your presence. They sense your presence and implement you in their personal and business vision statements, as we can help people, um, and also help ourselves. But Lord, with your hands and with your vision, in Jesus' name, Amen.
Amen. So let's start off with the heck is a vision statement.
Mm.
Maybe let's start off with what it's not. It's not a resume. It's not a to-do list. What else isn't it? It isn't a New Year's resolution. It isn't a vague idea of self.
Mm.
It is an aspirational future defined by one or two, maybe three sentences. You define them, not anyone else. This is you defining that vision statement.
With that said, it's worth mentioning it's not what you think your mom and dad wanted for you, nor your spouse, or to be a great person for your children. I mean, those are all things we work towards, but that does not come into your personal vision statement as far as where you want to head. I mean, um, you can wish those things to benefit the people around you,
Yeah,
but that broad statement of help me be a great husband, or I want to be a great husband or a great wife, doesn't
great
really
boss.
spell any,
Great.
yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't spell anything out. It's a very broad thing. As a matter of fact, in my personal vision mission statements, I'm thinking about, like, now that you begin to plan and think about the future, which I never really did well. Of course, I want to live a long life because now I have a lot of things I want to do. So in my statement, I realized, based on what you said earlier today, Zach, I have this broad blanket statement of living a long life. That, like, how am I going to do that? If that's something that I want to put in my statement, then how do I want to accomplish that? What's the journey in that sentence of I want to live a long life? That doesn't belong there unless it's defined better, you know.
I I know there's some sarcasm dripping out of this. Isn't it just I fix his appliances as long as
Wait a minute. He
I
stole mine from 1988 to 2009. Andrew, that was my mission and vision statement right there. That's
yeah.
what it was.
Oh, jumping ahead. Yes. Yes, core values
Yeah.
are very central to
Mhm.
creating a vision statement. And they aren't the only thing, but like if you don't have those core values of who you are defined, um, then nothing else
Mhm.
is going to happen. So yeah, the core of it is starting with self-reflection and figuring
Mhm.
out what those values are: integrity, freedom, growth, charity, right? What are the things you're naturally strong at? What are the things that you're naturally passionate about? Um, and I know, so like when I created mine, and I man, I really need to go back because like you, there was a bunch of vague garbage in there. It doesn't serve it, and it doesn't allow those goals to flow from there. So um when you're trying to create a vision statement, it's easy to get stuck. I got stuck. And so um there's two ways you can do it. You can look at it kind of in a positive, and you can look at it in kind of a negative, depending on which way your mindset works. Um but you want to articulate the future and what brings you energy and fulfillment and joy, right? You look at the peak experiences when you felt the most alive, the most proud of yourself, right? Um, in the negative space, you can also, and sometimes this is the easier place to start. I found it easier to start. You define the things that you don't want. You define the
Mm,
things that you have as pain points, because it makes the alternative, it makes the positive, what you actually want your vision statement to be,
mm,
um, clearer. So as you write down a pain point, then you begin to write the opposite, right? So feeling constantly, this is a great example, feeling constantly rushed and stressed. The ideal alternative is living with intention and calm and
mm.
focus. Man, I would love intention, calm, and
You need to
focus.
be, yeah, right. Yeah.
So
It's
if you,
overwhelming though, don't you? Well,
oh,
maybe not for you, but it is for me, Zach, to
it's
try to
it's
think about
overwhelming even for me, right? Like this is not a, it, I won't sugarcoat it. It's not a simple task. It's not an easy it's simple, but it's not easy, right? It's a simple task. It's not very long,
it. Mm.
but it's not an easy task to accomplish. It can be.
Yeah, ChatGPT could help us now. You really just kind of brain dump into it and help it structure you. There were some basic questions, pre-chat GPT that helped me try to figure out my personal mission statement, which is list all the things that are important to me. Uh, and then after that, what do others consider are my strengths? Which is important because then you're looking at it from outside of your perspective. And then, identify your legacy. What do you want to be remembered for? So I took several, like a page of each there, and just kind of started crossing out things or circling things that became the top of my priority list, or I started to number them. And then from there built it. But I think it's something that has to be revisited, just like your business does. You have to revisit your mission and vision statements because things change in the world and inside of you, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. What are the other things? And like sometimes we forget about it. Like some of us don't even have hobbies. I know you shared in a previous episode. You're like,
Mhm.
what are hobbies? I have kids and a wife.
Yeah,
Like I don't have hobbies.
right.
Um, but sometimes those hobbies, it's that thing that you would be doing even if you didn't get paid for it that brings you so much joy.
Mhm.
Um, that may be a part of your core purpose. It's really
Mhm.
worth exploring. It's really worth kind of drilling down to. Um, I love one of the questions in a guide to kind of filling this out. What's one sentence you hope describes the impact you had on others?
Mhm.
That can kind of funnel you in the direction of
That's right.
what your core purpose, your main part of your vision statement,
Mhm.
um, is going to be. So after we kind of figure that out, like we imagine our life 10 years out, figuring out what's our career, our health, our relationship, our impact, we begin to write this down. And we write a draft. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time around. And heck, you might even revisit it in a year, because you might find that some of those goals and things you had in your vision, they don't align
Right.
with who you really are.
Mhm.
Um, and always use the present tense. Like it's a mindset thing, right? We are always talk about mindset, and so if you use it in the present, you are these things now.
Mhm.
It is much easier to become those things. You may not in reality be them, but in your mind, you are them, and you begin to bring it into the realm of real.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's definitely not for the faint of heart. Creating those vision statements.
Well, I think a lot of us are right where Andrew's semi humorous statement was, right? You know, I'll do this until it isn't easy anymore.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that one.
yeah, that one. I mean, that's a reality for many of us. And we all have met those people who have great aspirations. And I'll tell you something, a significant percentage of the people that have I've met and they just go, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa, that is so lofty. And then maybe, possibly, I'm prejudging these people to say, wow, wait till the world hits them.
Hmm.
You wait. And then, like I said, some of these percentages of people, they accomplish it, they exceed it, they pivot, but they're just moving at such a different speed than I was. And then quickly envy comes in there a little bit, So,
Yeah.
but we are only going to do this when we actually ponder it for a little bit. We pause and we stop thinking about the stuff that happens every day. Take a drive, pull over somewhere, take a deep breath, turn the radio off, shut the phone down, and just ask yourself, what am I here for? Uh, what do I want to be known for? I'll tell you something. Thinking about what people might think about you helps you with that stupid fake humbleness
Hmm.
of, well, I think I'm pretty good at this. Well, I think I'm good at that. And so I interviewed like four people, none of them that would be on this podcast because it always would come with sarcasm and would just crash my little heart like Saul or something. But you just ask people that you respect and care about, what are those attributes that you think are strengths in me? You can build from there.
Speaking of sarcasm,
Yes, there it is. Well, Rob Jones just comes up like a
sledgehammer.
bug in the ground. No, jeez, I didn't even know he was still around. Hey, good morning, Rob. It's good to see you, buddy.
So once you have a vision statement, then it kind of makes sense why we're
Mhm.
talking about a vision statement, because we want to turn vision into action. We don't just want to be a dreamer, just like living in the abstract. We want to actually take and turn that into action. And so goals for yourself as well as for your business are super important. And
Mhm.
I don't know about you, Doug, but have you ever gotten stuck like creating those personal goals and those business goals, and you're like, well, that didn't work out. Why did I make that a goal? If it wasn't filtered through the vision statement,
Right.
we end up with a lot of stuff on our goals, our
Mhm.
to-do list,
Mhm.
um, that we just don't find joy in. We don't find alignment with. We don't actually want to achieve it. We
Mhm.
fight taking the steps to make that goal happen. Where if we would have filtered that through
Mhm.
our vision statement, it never would
Yeah.
have made it to the list.
Yeah.
Something else
Yeah.
would have been there.
Well, sometimes we have to fill the void with something. We have to seat fillers. Again, because we haven't taken that time to pause and reflect. What brings you joy? You know, that's I think is a great question to ask yourself. What brings you joy, and then how do you plug that into your day to day life?
Yeah.
Um, sometimes I was talking with a friend and they have a really big family and they just want to be there to enrich and encourage the aunts and the uncles and the cousins and the grandchildren and all that. So their goal became to become independently financially free, at before 58. And I was like, wow, that's a lofty goal. But we know what that person's trying to achieve. They want to be able to have the time and the ability to use their gifts to love people around them. So I love it.
So as we're beginning to bridge that gap between vision and our actual goals, we're gonna break down the vision into broad categories: career, wellness, finance, relationship. In our business, it could be short term, you know, employees. It could be areas that we're servicing. It could be um, types of services that we offer. Right, we're gonna break these things down, whether it's a personal or a business at a goal. We're gonna
Mhm.
break it into these broader categories, because then it becomes a little more manageable. Then
Mhm.
we're gonna begin to create those long-term objectives, 3, 5, 10 years out. And I know you went through that um, in the
Traction.
methodology, traction that you guys are going through. So they're large, and then we bring them into the measurable. We break them down, and we're gonna put it into the SMART framework, right?
Mhm.
Specific, measurable, attainable. I just went blank on the R.
Repeatable.
Repeatable, and then
Time.
third time bound.
Time. Goal set. Yeah.
Yeah. And so once we've taken that and we've begun it, it becomes a little bit easier
Mhm.
to manage, because then we can move it into year goals and 6 months goals and quarter goals, weekly goals even.
I mean, think about your business or your career, right?
Mm,
If personally, if you don't have a direction and some sort of vision of where you want to be 10 years from now,
mhm.
then your company or your career goals are going to probably struggle and flounder. So if
Yep.
you know where you want to be as a person 10 years from now, it will totally influence your business. And if you own a small business or a business, you are going to build the flavor. You're going to create and you're going to enhance the direction based on your own personal goal. Uh, if you want to sell your business, if you want to build it to sell it, well, that's going to be part of your 10-year vision. But why do you want to build and sell it? What are you trying to do personally in your own life that you want to flip a business, right? Or that type of thing. So it's great how the personal ties into and begins to develop what your business 10-year plan looks like. So
Mhm.
the adverse side of that is if you don't know what you want to do, then your company and its direction will probably be as similarly lost as you are.
I went through another shift within the roofing industry right last year. Um, Thought I had the vision filtered out, and what I found a lot of things that I didn't want. And so the goals that I set didn't serve me. They ended up burning me out, right? Selling $2 million of roofs and dealing with crabby homeowners all the time. It doesn't align with who I am. And as I made the shift this year, um, that same core, that same piece of the vision kept coming back, and that was leadership, right? I thrive in leading teams. I thrive in seeing other people succeed and helping to raise them up and sharpen their skill sets. And so as I'm with the crews and as I'm teaching the other sales guys like how to do inspections, as I'm leading, I'm coming alive and I'm finding joy and I'm finding that peace. And so you can see where the things that don't serve us, once we begin to figure out what that is, those energy drains, we will find those things that do
That's awesome. You
bring
found your
us.
joy. You found your joy, Zach.
Yeah. And
Teaching and coaching.
it may not stay in roofing, right?
Of course not.
It's that
It doesn't have to, right?
leadership piece. Now that I understand that leadership is core
Mm.
to who I am and core to my vision, it makes it easier to set that vision statement, and it makes it easier to set goals
Mm.
that align with that person that I am, that person that I want to be in the future. And
That
I think,
that that biblical image of a mustard seed, right? Being really tiny. It's all you need is something that tiny. Zach, I'm just shooting from the hip here, but when we first started hanging out, you were still at Gordon's. We were in our mastermind together, and I did not think that you at that time, especially, enjoyed having employees,
hmm,
nor difficult customers.
hmm,
I just thought it was eating you up, it was burning you out. So it's interesting that but something happened where you must identify this is where I get passionate at, and maybe you weren't putting the energy, the time, or you weren't good at it then. I don't know. You
Maybe a
started.
little bit
I
of
mean,
both.
those books behind you, and this journey that we've been together, I feel like this is where you have been exploring mindset and coaching. So a
Mm.
little bit of irony, maybe, that
Oh,
you were like, oh my gosh, these employees, I, I just had no patience for them. But to be a coach, you have to have great patience. You have to be able to guide them. So irony and coolness that you found the thing that brings you joy. It's not making a lot of money selling roofs or turning a conversion into a sale, but it is teaching people how to convert into sales. That's where you're finding your joy. I love it.
and let's talk about that drain and that misalignment because some of it comes from not having clear vision and clear goals. A lot of that burnout I was experiencing is because I was living a dual life. I
Mm,
was doing the work on the road and trying to lead a team,
mm,
and one brought me joy and one drained me of joy.
wow.
And so it
Wow.
was a constant
It was
back
always there, Zach. You didn't change your mind. You just didn't have the time to put into it.
him.
And that created that Chicago bitterness that you have or had. So I love it. I love it. You weren't feeding it. You were choking it out by doing the appliance repair on top of that.
Yep.
The things it didn't. Yeah, I love that. That's really cool.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, and I don't think I am alone in that. I think there are probably a lot of guys who would be perfectly happy to do the work, and that's what aligns with them. Rock and roll. There's nothing
Sure.
wrong with that. For me, I don't get the joy in doing the work. Yes, I get joy in figuring out the puzzle. I love being on roofs and tearing crap
Mhm.
apart like a lot of you guys enjoy being in houses and tearing
Yeah.
dryers apart and washers apart and all that stuff. But I find more joy in teaching someone else how to do it. I really enjoy when another salesman comes up on the roof and he's like, "Why the heck are you doing it that way?"
Mm,
"Oh, well, here's why. Here's what I
yeah.
found. And then you go through it with them. I'm sure there's a bunch of you guys in the audience who, when you're teaching a new technician, you're like, "Wow." It's not about turning the wrenches when you're teaching that technician.
Right.
It's it's finding the joy in passing that skill set off to someone else. Now, if you don't have that vision statement, if you don't have those goals aligned to make it possible for you to be off the road, if that is your goal, if you're aligning like I am to be off the road and teach these guys, if you don't have all that stuff set up,
Mm,
you're going to find yourself in that push and pull, burnt out, and end up with a pissy Chicago attitude
sure.
like Doug described from me in the beginning. My vision, my core, that leadership piece never left,
Right. Yeah, I love
but I
that.
wasn't able to fill that portion because I hadn't clearly defined
Mm,
what I wanted and how I was going to get
okay.
there. Vision is what,
Mhm.
the goals are how. You need both. You need
Patrick Lencioni, right? Six Working Geniuses. Go find that online. Six Working Geniuses. Take the test. What are the things that bring you joy? And what are the things that frustrate you? Once you identify those two, you can really take off. Yeah, in spite of your DNA,
It's
Zach,
true. It's true.
right? Can you imagine that? Great coaches, great people coaches come from Chicago. You would never think. I would just think it's the mafia threatened approach. But there you go.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing when you actually get to live in that purpose. It changes your attitude, it changes your interactions with others, right? Like even at church leading the sound guys, like there's just more joy and more happiness because I'm in a better space. I'm looking and seeing the guys that I'm teaching and leading
Mm,
having more joy and having more fun in what they're doing, right?
right.
And so it is your duty as a leader, because if you own a company, it is your duty
Mm,
to be a leader within that company. If
Yeah.
you're a manager within that company, if you're an employee, it is your duty to have some type of vision and some type of goal set, um, p because we're designed to help
Mhm.
others,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
when we don't, everything around us, it's like a poison, right? It
Sure.
makes everything else around us kinda
Sure.
crumble.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're all different, but I'd hate to say that I might be similarly driven like Rob is, right? Um, Having the light bulb moment happen is invigorating for me, but to see it happen in others is kind of what I live for, because then that you're impacting them when they have an aha moment in their life or their career changes just a tiny bit. It's a long journey there. But the light bulb moment is the trick as leaders, trying to get people to see the thing. I'll tell you what, sort of my part of my 10-year plan, hopefully less than that, would be to find somebody that can take over the spot that I have.
Mm,
So what do I have to do to be able to hand that off and not worry about failure? Is making sure that the that everything's in place: vision, mission, process, procedure. And then wouldn't it be cool to find somebody that would thrive in adding their own flavor to the company's mission and vision statement? It would take a turn from the direction I'm sending it in, but still heading us towards where we're trying to go. For me, that would be exciting to
mm,
hand the reins over and see that variation of change, because it wouldn't have come from me and it comes from someone else. It's almost like handing that legacy on just and seeing how their take would be on it. So that's a goal for me, is to find my replacement so that someone else can do what I do, right? And then of course you've got to be prepared, right, Dr. Dan, for what do you want to do after that?
mm,
And sometimes that can be overwhelming to say, hey, in the next 10 years, this is what I want to do. I want to sell my business for this amount of money. What do you got to do to get there? Can you imagine if you were able to do that and you don't know what you want to do next? There's a little bit of fear of accomplishing that major goal of, maybe, as
mm.
an example, selling your business. So you have to always continue to be thinking about what's next for you, and it's overwhelming. So Dr. Dan says my biggest problem is figuring out what the goals are and how to achieve them. That is yeah, that's, to me, that was something that I got stuck on. But it's going to be really like, what do you have to do in the next 3 months? um
Well, so I go back to the premise that I laid out at the beginning of the episode. Did you have a vision statement? And to you, Dr. Dan, do you have a vision statement when you began to set goals? Right. I venture to guess, Doug, that you did not have a personal vision statement when you first started setting goals for Action Appliance, and you were in this
no,
constant.
no. Exactly, you're absolutely right. The personal mission and the time that I drove to the state park in the parking lot and just sat there and answered those questions, and my strengths, and trying to identify them to create my own personal statement. Then after that, I was where Dan was at, like, well, now I'm on fire, but I don't know how to make this happen. Traction became the vehicle, because it's literally a whole system of taking your company, identifying what that company is, setting the 10-year goal, and breaking it down into smaller bites. So, yeah, I sought out traction because I got on fire about who the heck am I and where do I want to be 10 years from now? Because I was tired of being sort of a little raft with a sail getting blown around by the wind and just going in the direction that the wind was guiding me. So it definitely started with the personal goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
knew that needle nose was in my personal goals for absolutely, because you can't fix these newer appliances with needle nose pliers. It's just not possible. So I knew I had to step out of the realm from the way it used to be.
Yeah. So, if you guys missed the beginning of the episode, go back after this publishes and watch that beginning again, because getting your vision clear, that personal vision, and then you can set a company vision, and then you can really begin to set goals. You can't put the cart before the horse. It's not going to work. And I know from experience, so many of us put goals first, and then we try and just powerhouse through these goals, and we try and muscle through these goals, and then we don't achieve them, and then we get frustrated, and we're like, well, goal setting's stupid. Why would I set goals? That's just a dumb thing to do.
Right.
And it's because we're putting that cart in front of the horse, and we're trying to set goals before we know where the heck we want to go. We don't understand or have a clear sense of personal and business vision, and then we're trying to set goal, and it's just backwards. It's just backwards. So go back to the beginning of the episode. Begin to think through what that vision is, and then start setting your goals.
Now, Dr. Dan, just want to say something to you again. Excuse me. To figure out my personal mission statement. Again, I did an exercise, which was what is important to me, and I just made a long list, right? And then I needed to find out. I had to ask myself, what do I consider are my strengths that God has given me, and that I think are good. Identify my legacy. That's that forward thinking. What would that look like with who I am and what my strengths are, and then ask others to share what they see in me. So, Dr. Dan, I just want to say, I know you a little bit. We've gotten to hang out in different situations and even see each other face to face at ASTIs and things like that. Dan, you are an incredibly loyal person. You're gifted technically, and you also are a great teacher and leader. And so loyalty, humbleness, teacher, leader, mentor, those are the attributes that I see in you, my friend, that for sure are great in your business. But I bet you could be in a space where Zach was a few years ago, of you're trying to do those things, but you don't have time to do those things because you're doing stuff that you don't like. So I encourage you to decide, who are you? What are you all about, Dan? And what are your strengths? And take mine into account. Ask your wife and your friends and the people in your mastermind, what are your strengths, and list them all. But Dan, you're an amazing guy, and those are the attributes that I want to pass on to you.
Love it. Well, on the 16th, we're gonna be talking about goals to succeed with, and I'm gonna tell you, this vision casting is going to be a big part of it, because it is pointless to set goals unless you know where you want to head to. You need the compass before you can begin stepping through the journey. So join us if you're an all access member, or if you're not, go ahead and join servicealliancegroup.com. We do these monthly masterminds, and like I said, on the 16th, I will be leading one on some goal setting, and we're going to start with some vision casting. So hopefully this episode got the wheels spinning for some of you, and you can begin to gain some traction in setting a vision, setting goals for yourself and for your company. So that's it. That's what we got, guys.
Have a great week.
Get out there, take care of your customers, and we'll see you next time on the Morning Grind.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the Morning Grind podcast by Service Alliance Group. Subscribe to our channel and make sure you visit our website at servicealliancegroup.com for appliance repair business resources.